Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Memory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our NFL Week 10 preview between the Houston Texans and the Chicago Bears. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with the Texans.
This week versus the Chicago Bears, the Texans' defensive game plan is all about matchups. And two guys in particular that I'm looking at, Whitney Merciless, the outstanding rookie from Illinois, and Brooks Reed, the second-year outside linebacker from Arizona. Both guys will have to be alert for the screen game. The Bears run a lot of running back screens to Michael Bush and also Matt Forte. Plus, we know about the struggles of that Bears offensive line, so it's vital that these guys get pressure on the edges and force Cutler into some bad decisions. And Daniel Manning, looking at him as a strong safety, normally when you face a team that has an outstanding tight end, you want to keep that guy back in coverage. The Bears don't have that luxury, so this is a matchup where he can play close to the line of scrimmage. So look for more single high safety looks from the Texans on the defensive side of the football. And on offense, you look at right tackle Derek Newton versus possibly a rookie in Shea McClellan, the Bears' defensive end. We know the Texans' running game is predicated on sealing the edge and reaching that defensive end. If he can do that, then they can have success in getting to the outside versus Chicago. But let's go inside the lab and look at that passing game and what they can do this week versus that cover 2 defense of Chicago.
Now we know there's many ways to beat a cover 2 defense, 4 verticals, the smash concept. But this week versus the Chicago Bears, I think the Houston Texans can have some success versus that defense with the quick slant game and the quick slant isolation. You see right here, just a basic slant. 3-step drop, 1, 2, 3, boom, get the football out quickly. He has voids here, he has voids there, he also has a void on the outside. You notice the outside receivers are rolling into their slants, almost taking longer. Why? Because they're allowing these guys to clear out and perhaps draw some coverage that way, and this could be outlet slant combinations. Now, when we talk about the slant isolation, is due to the fact that the Houston Texans run the football very well, and that influences linebackers to step up and respect the running game. So if Matt Schaub opens up this way quickly, shows play action with Arian Foster, he can quickly turn back around and create all the void he needs right there for Andre Johnson to catch the slant. And we know why the slant concept works best for the Houston Texans wide receivers, because they're big, they're physical, and once you get the football in their hands quickly, they can do some damage after the catch.
Now let's move over to the Chicago Bears in this matchup, and there's 2 ways they can go about stopping the running game of the Houston Texans. They can look to their interior defensive line with Stephen Paella, Henry Melton if he's out there 100%, and the former Texan Amobi Okoye. Why? Because those D tackles shooting the A-gap and fighting through the blocks of either the guard or the center could make that running back belly back just a little bit more and create a lane for the linebackers to shoot through and make the tackle either at or behind the line of scrimmage. And also look at Nick Roach, the outside linebacker. It's going to be his job to make sure that running game stays strung out. He's going to have to string out the running game, force it to the sideline, and make tackles at or near the line of scrimmage. And Lance Briggs in coverage. He's one of the best cover linebackers we have in the league, and you look at how well he will do versus Owen Daniels. That's going to be a matchup you're going to have to watch throughout the course of the day. And also strong safety Major Wright. He could be either matched up on Owen Daniels, Garrett Graham, or James Casey. So the Texans offense puts a lot of pressure on your defense to make sure every blade of grass is covered. That's what the Bears have to look for this week as they take on Houston. But let's go inside the lab and look at the Bears offense and how pre-snap passing can put them in better situations.
Bears offensive line will get a huge test this week from the Houston Texans pass rush, which is why it's important for Jay Cutler's pre-snap reads to be on point this week. So it's pre-snap passing that has to be effective, and here's what we have drawn up. Color-coded, each one is essentially a different read and a different responsibility, notifying Jay Cutler where he has to go with the football, because quite honestly, the Bears wide receivers are just like the Houston Texans wide receivers. You get the football in their hands very quickly, they can make plays after the catch. Where they have an advantage is that they have a speed guy here in Devin Hester. But this is the first read. You always can go here. Your quick hitch to Earl Bennett can help get the football out of his hands quickly. If you see the pre-snap coverage, if this corner is sitting off, go here. This is your outlet right there, the tight end. They need better play out the tight end position in order to have some success. This is Kellen Davis. Your first read, your second read is your main man right there, Brandon Marshall, always running that in route, that slow in route. Get him the football right there. He can easily make plays after the catch. But this is where you go second. This is your first. This is your second. Hester is your third read. If you see where this is also your hot read. If you see where this guy is open immediately pre-snap, you know you have the streak, and it's up to him to read this coverage. You know he either has a streak, or if he sees the safety starting to drift, he can cut it across the middle of the football field and get the football in his hands quickly. And another outlet right there will be Forte. What Forte does is draw coverage away from here and also draw coverage away from here. So first read, second read, hot read, third read, outlet, outlet. If Cutler can win pre-snap, then the Bears passing game can do a great job against the Houston Texans and essentially open up more room for these guys to run the football.
I believe Kevin Walter will be an X factor in this ball game. He's going to draw the coverage of Tim Jennings, the corner that plays opposite of Charles Peanut Tillman, who's probably going to draw Andre Johnson. Walter has to step up and make some plays. And you look at the Bears' offensive line. The worst thing you want to hear if you're a Bears fan is that the Texans are coming to town with that defensive pass rush and your offensive line has some questions. The Bears definitely have to win the battle up front. Now let's look at the personnel breakdown in this ball game, and you look at where the Texans have a clear advantage is their defensive front going against that Bears offensive line. But the Bears have an advantage with the special teams, and in this game of two outstanding defenses, special teams and field position could play a huge role. I like Chicago in this ball game. I think this will be a defensive battle between two teams that we may even see later on in the season as a potential Super Bowl matchup, but I think the defense will reign supreme in this one. The Bears have the ability to stop the run, but also the ability to cover, especially with their linebackers, and I think that would go a long way in knocking off the Houston Texans. And I want to give a huge shout out to Texans fan forums and Bear fan forums for always showing football game plan support.